The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Broadcasters Podcast, where we dive deep into the media industry headlines and dissect the digital disruption that diverges the masses into the new media counterculture and away from the media establishment. Here is the King of Podcasts.
I have spent many a program talking about the music industry and the damage being done by the digital disruption. It's just a common thing. And it bears repeating over and over and over and over because the music industry has not learned. Since Napster, they have not learned. And there's just nothing that can be done as of yet to make the music industry turn around. The record labels have become very much behind the day. You're dealing with the fact of now various things that go on with technology that are making things much more difficult. Artificial intelligence, fake streams, and the streaming services. There's just nothing here that is helping what was once a burgeoning music industry, because you could go to a record store, you can go and buy a CD, buy a cassette, buy a vinyl record, physical units, and radio stations mattered for promotional reasons and so much more. But now, no, nothing. Not at all. We're just seeing the continued deterioration of what the music industry is. Now, not only about 2 weeks ago, I decided to go and create a Spotify playlist called Music Radio's Last Stand. And I'm actually need to go and redesign my website. I'm going to be doing that. kingofpodcasts.com. That's my whole portfolio. Everything that I do, kingofpodcasts.com. I'm going to change that up and I'm going to move it to a different site, do some extra work to it, make it something nice and pretty. But I got to tell you, I'm looking at where music is, and I put that list together. I talked about it last week, I think, too. Starts from 1990 up to current day. Now, it's not the music I listen to, like the party music all together. Some of it would be, but it would be what you would listen to on rock radio, rap radio, pop radio, or top 40. Like a real, actual top 40 feel. Like a legitimate top 40 or top 100. Like if you're going to Billboard Hot 100 or the official chart top 100, and you're taking their lists from those last 30 years, except for the songs that are middle of the road or just simply overplayed to death. Those are the songs I'm adding on here. And I got about 88 hours worth of music. And I can just imagine if you just put that list together and put it on the air. I think it's a pretty good list. And then I put it on with some actual talent, talking the records up, that know the records, and just letting people learn about the music again. And just playing it back. It doesn't feel necessarily old. I mean, it might feel old to some people just because of the age difference, but there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm and energy because the records were be recorded so well. Okay, great quality. They weren't disposable. They're not so digital like they are now. I mean, of course, we had beat machines, we had, processing, and we had, reverb and everything else going on, but like, seriously. I don't have a problem with like certain music still being made and people can do it out of their basement or in their house, and they can do it just on a computer with a simple platform. No, that's fine. But there just has to be something about quality. Sure, I don't mind if music is not being done in a recording studio. That doesn't bother me. But there's got to be quality behind it. Quality behind the lyrics, quality behind the music, quality behind the structure. We're not getting that anymore. It's gotten lazy. Think about it like this. What about if you had musicians decide to go back to the instruments? Don't leave it up to the country to go ahead and be the instrument titans over there in Nashville. Okay, music grow. What if rock music got a renaissance and it became like this, the counterculture again? Like rock was the counterculture. It's not allowed. It's been brought down. Let's be honest here. We miss rock music because it was counterculture. What do we have now? Corporate rap. Okay. We've had corporate rap for a long time now. It just continued to get more corporate and corporate. Now we're at total corporate rap with only a handful of artists that are able to get a little of the creativity out there. Then what? On the pop side, you have who the bettors believe are the artists that will be allowed to have music up, and all of a sudden they can get played anywhere in any place. Meanwhile, anybody that's independent doesn't get touched. So Ed Sheeran has a new song, Eyes Closed. Oh yeah, put it up there. Miley Cyrus's new album, put it up there. Taylor Swift has another song that she re-recorded, put it up there. Get it on radio, get it everywhere. Weeknd has another remix, put it up there. You can only do so much of that. And there are only so many new artists that are able to go and break the mold. They might have come from somebody, sure. I think about Gail from, last year? Olivia Rodrigo from, 2 years ago? Or 2020, excuse me. Yeah, it's been 3 years now, yeah. And I'm saying to myself, well, where is everybody? I mean, there's a point where there's not a lot of new artists being made for the mold. I'm waiting for them. Billie Eilish was around and she hit a couple of records, and where's she been? Doja Cat had a couple of great records, and where's she been? Megan Thee Stallion had her share of records, and where's she been? Ariana Grande had a whole, she was going back-to-back records, albums, and where's she been? There's a lot of people that are, are they working on music? I don't know. Rihanna came back into the Super Bowl. Did she have an album in the works? I don't know. Drake, he keeps putting out records. Where's he been? Right? They put something out last year, sure. Kanye West put something out last year. But the amount of people that are putting out records, there's just not many. Not a lot of albums. A lot of singles. But singles just to be singles. And some of the singles, disposable. They're meant to be viral, to be memes, to be just put out there just to get a bit of a run. But they're not being done for the music industry. They're not being done for radio. They're not being on the purpose of that at all. Because some of these artists, they're using it for something else. And more importantly, they're not worried about touring. They're not worrying about trying to get music out there to just get streaming out there to make a significant amount of coin. I don't think there's much of that either. But these issues are what's hurting the music industry. I try to listen to new music all the time. There's not a lot of pop music I like right now. There's very little rock music that I can really enjoy because some of the alternative artists, they might have a feel to it, but it's just not rock. It doesn't have it's not, smash and grab. Kind of give me a good thumping, guitar riff and, give me the drums, give me all this, really ramp it. We're not, because the alternative artists don't really do that. They're still very much digital. Don't get me wrong, Arctic Monkeys can come out with a good record. Bring Me the Horizon, Arcade Fire. Those are a couple of good examples, right? Imagine Dragons for quite a while. We saw them. Heat Waves, Glass Animals, right? But really, that variety of music. See, here's the thing. I don't want to be one of those people that says, you know what, the 90s to 2000s, we had such variety. Yes, we did. We absolutely did. But where is it now? Why don't we have it? What happened? I want to figure that out. Because I don't see it right now. And it's a problem. I don't want it to be this way either. I want better music. I want more music to listen to. But we're not. We're in a state of flux right now where there's music out there to be played, but man, there's not much to work with. And I don't like this. But this is what we're waiting for. I've been waiting for music to come back. Remember in 2020, we were talking about what was the return of rock? I said it going back to July 2021. There we go. Remember I said it was a rock renaissance. Could that be coming back? Because Olivia Rodrigo came out with Good For You. Måneskin came out with a couple of hits. Måneskin's supposed to be coming out with another album pretty soon. Willow, remember? And she was working with the folk, Travis Barker was working with everybody then. Machine Gun Kelly, right? I don't know. What happened? Why are we not back there again? Why are we still stuck at this point of, I don't know. We're just, we're in a spot of like, I don't get it, man. There's something wrong here. I want to get back to variety of music, because that's what we had previous decades across. I mean, remember, this is going after decades after decades. The rock era. Where's the rock era? What happened? Why did it stop? I want to know. And I don't see a reason why we're here. And it's like, I want something. I want something more, but we don't have that. Why is it not being allowed? Do you honestly think that the audience out there, the younger crowd, if given the opportunity, I mean, how many do we see out there that are wearing rock shirts? The culture is still there. People are still wearing the gear of different acts. There's still a counterculture that wants to act like a counterculture. You still have goth, you still have emo, you still have people that are kind of recluse and outcasts and introverts, and we got that crowd. Why don't we have something new to work with? What is wrong with that? I want to find out. I want to change this, but we're not there yet. And there's a lot of things that are getting in the way, and the music industry, they need to change their tune. They can't just keep going what they're doing. Listen, they're trying to do now what the other major mainstream corporate bigwigs of other media is doing. Intellectual property. They're all in that game right now. So when you see the likes of Disney, Netflix, Hulu, and the like, Disney Plus, right? You've got all these things where they're all getting intellectual property, different brands, different noticeable franchises, and they're picking those up just to kind of live off of legacy. So that's the television, that's the movie side. The television side, you have different shows of different show writers of, original series you have out there, intellectual property in that same way. Music's the same way right now because of all these different libraries that are being sold. How many of those left? And do you think the interpolation game is going to be enough? No. By the way, nobody does any covers anymore. I actually just heard a cover now. Luke Combs just covered Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Well, didn't cover it now. It was like 3 years ago. But the song has now been released as a single. Right? But he's been performing it on stage. Hey, does he have to be exactly as good or better than Tracy Chapman? No. Because you're not. But he did a good job of it. Like, it's a very credible, he makes it his own. That's good. I like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. We had a lot. I mean, listen, we just lost Burt Bacharach a few weeks ago. How many times did his songs get recovered? Oh, lots. What the world needs now is Love, Sweet Love, covered over and over. Right? And that's just one example. There's more. There's so much more. But I don't know. This is where we are at a crossroads. And I really thought the music industry was going to go and start changing. There was a rock resurgence on the UK singles chart. And I thought, man, we got a chance. When I look at the charts right now and I look what we have in terms of, it just sucks, man. This all sucks. We don't have what used to be like just so prominent. If I look at the charts right now and I say, okay, so Like Crazy Jimin of BTS is number one. Country Song in Last Night by Morgan Wallen, 3. Flowers, Miley Cyrus is 2. But then if I look at the rest of the chart for the Hot 100, do we have anything that's rock related? I'm looking through the top 10, looking through the top 20, looking through the top 30. I mean, we can't count anything that's country, but country's all over that. We have some dance. We have, among other things, some reggaeton. But really, where is there anything? And by the way, a lot of songs have been on the chart for a long time, and they're kind of just a stagnation right now on the chart. The only thing that has a rock connotation to it is what? Little Uzi Vert's Just Wanna Rock, but it's not even a rock song. He's trying to make an anthem. But I keep looking. Okay, top 40, nothing. Top 50, nothing. Top 60, nothing. We have in the top 60, we have original Mexican song because we have an artist that's starting to, we have a couple of artists that are starting to make their way up and getting very popular. But other than that, I can keep looking, nothing rock related, nothing more, with very little new artists on the chart. Very little. We're getting a couple of things, but like anybody that's going to really stand out, Ice Spice has been around for a little bit, right? We got Coco Jones, who just came out with a new song called ICU. Lizzie McAlpine, Pink Pantheress has been around for a while. And who else? Not a lot of new artists making their way up. And then I'm looking and I'm saying, well, what else is there? The same rap artists out there. Juice WRLD with another song, posthumous. Why? I don't know. But the Hot 100? Nothing. Nothing that resembles rock at all. You have some We have reggaeton, we have country, we have R&B, very little bit, but towards the bottom part of the chart, and pop. And the pop that we have is loaded with a lot of artists we already know. Not a lot of new things in there, but there's a stagnation right now. That's what's going on. But that's, of course, America. Does it happen over in the UK? Of course not, because they're always ahead of what's going on. They get it right. And if you look at what they're doing, it's a different story. You get a little more, they're much more diverse. Like we got Afro roots over there, which is kind of a bit of offshoot of R&B, but that's there. Which a couple of songs are in their top 10. And then you have other new artists that come on board. You have Mae Stevens, Mimi Webb's been around for a little bit while, but then again, in Britain, in the UK, they champion new artists all the time, right? If I keep looking, top 20, I see a dance music song from Switch Disco, accompanied by Ella Henderson, called React. That's good. Megan Trainor, does she even chart that much over in America? No, but in Europe she does. Paris Paloma, that's a new artist. Katie Baser, that's a new artist. A song called Pretty Boys, and it's kind of catchy. I'm surprised it hasn't made any kind of inroads over here yet, but it eventually will, I'm sure. Louis Capaldi, which he can put out songs whatever he wants over in his home country, but they're right now not making too much of a dent over in the UK, in the US. Keeping going at this, right? And you have a couple different songs that might not make too much of a run, but like I said, the UK's got a different taste. They have a song, Shut Up When My Mom's Calling, by Hotel Ugly. Lana Del Rey put out a song called A&W. And I keep looking here. There's just not much, man. Because even on their end, Key and the Crow's pretty relatively new from what I've seen. Of course, the official chart cannot live without Mr. Brightside of the Killers on there for 355 weeks. It's just a song, right? So Lana Del Rey put out an album, and she's got a bunch of her songs on the bottom half of the list. And there's still a lot of songs that have been around for a long time that continue to stay on the chart. 100 Weeks for Save Your Tears by The Weeknd on their chart. Riptide, Vance Joy, that's 95 weeks. Wow. Fighting Myself, that's a new song for Linkin Park. So Linkin Park, remember, rehashing from their 20-year-old album, right? And coming back with that. That's the only real, actually, rock that we have that's like kind of relatively new. But it was recorded 20 years ago. And nothing that resembles rock in this list. That's it. It's sad. But this is where we are right now, and I don't know what to do. I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's get into what's going on right now. So first of all, the streamers can actually go and take advantage of this. There's a story from Billboard about the case for and against higher streaming subscription prices. So JPMorgan Chase analysts estimate a Spotify rate increase for U.S. individual plans would garner $200 million annually for them if they decided to bump up. Now, at the moment, there's rising expectations that Spotify will follow Apple Music and Amazon Music and raise the price of their individual plans in the United States and other major markets. Music's subscription revenue went down 7.2% from year to year. We've had streaming roughly for what? Coming up on 15 years? And, you know, the types of Billboard, they actually definitely did get on top of the digital downloads right away and streaming numbers and all that good stuff. The other problem is that why Billboard continues to put in their algorithm radio as such an important scoring part, I don't get that part. But that's the other problem, is that radio is so stagnant, and yet they're still made relevant by Billboard. Doesn't make sense. And Billboard's not even recognized by radio at all. That's why they still have Ryan Seacrest, you know, talking about a chart that's like outdated and rigged by Mediabase. Okay? Now, when it comes to other areas, subscriptions now account for almost 58% of U.S. recorded music revenue. In the UK and France, which are the world's third and sixth largest recorded music markets, revenue dropped from 13% to 4.8% in the United Kingdom. So they're all kind of working, and so the streaming services need to make some money too. Who's making money in music right now? Nobody. That's what it looks like. Now, Amazon and Deezer, they are putting price hikes in place to where they will be increasing their plans $2 for family plans, $1 on individual plans. Spotify has kept the individual plan at $9.99 since the platform launched in 2011. They did raise prices for family plans in the U.S. in 2021. I think it's $17.99 I pay, right? I think that's what I pay right now. And honestly, if they... Let me just check the pricing real quick. I'm going to tell you right now. I have a family plan, and I've been using it, and I'll tell you, I have never felt bad about doing $15.99 right now. That's what it is. If they bumped it to $17.99, I would still hold on to it. You know that? I would still hold on to it for $15.99. I mean, $17.99. If they wanted to do that, that's fine. No problem to me. I enjoy it. I use it all the time. I use it every single day. The fact that I'm now at this point, at 13 years later after Spotify comes into play, and after 14 years after Apple iTunes comes into play, all of a sudden, I don't listen to radio anymore. I don't even know the last time I turned it on. That's how sad it is right now. And I'm not talking about streaming radio. I'm talking about FM or AM. Months. When I did listen to AM radio or FM, it was for sports, not music. Not at all. And it's hard enough to find a good enterprise station anyway, without having to go through the load of inventory and commercials, which we talked about. We had a story about radio when it comes to advertising that, there's a good third of advertising on iHeart radio stations that are of their own promotions. Who wants to hear that? Or their own content. Who wants to hear that? Right? So into the story, they're saying they can see the prices going up. And that CEO Daniel Ek of Spotify talks about the stance of keeping rates low is good for business. And the approach is when we're early in a market is to try to grow the number of participants by maintaining a competitive price. They operate in 184 markets. Spotify doesn't have a single approach. We're mostly focused on growth. Yeah, keep the same price and keep pushing up. So right now, The word is that music subscription services, unwillingness to raise their rates could put them at a disadvantage to their video peers. Streaming music waited so long to change prices. The whole generation expects these prices. So there's nobody making money right now. But yet this digital disruption is in play. What about the artists? Well, first of all, let's go to the record labels. Are they making any money off of this? Billboard had an article about what role do record labels play. So they explain about the fact that there's two types of labels, major labels, organized into umbrella companies called label groups or independent labels. Three major label groups right now are Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group. All subsidiaries, independent labels are different from major labels. They operate on their own funding. They can outsource distribution and publishing, while majors do that themselves. Labels make money on songs, master recordings, one of three ways: music sales, downloads, and streaming of an artist; brand partnerships where an artist endorses a product; master licensing, using the exact recording of a song for a commercial, movie, or TV show, which they're making a lot of money off of that now, interpolating all the libraries that they're getting as well. There's only a certain amount of artists that make money on sales these days. As streaming and downloads, there's only so much of a cut you make. Now, Keith Caulfield, the managing director of charts and data operations for Billboard, says that thanks to social media, the way labels recruit artists has changed drastically. There was a time when record labels were the only way anyone could get their music out to the public. They controlled the marketing and distribution of getting your music in the stores. Now it's different. And that's where we're coming from right now. But as I said, just by breaking down what the record labels are supposed to be doing and what they're supposed to be making money off of, they're not. They're not making money off of new music. That's what that says. That's what all that says right there. If they're putting out an album, like say they're putting out like a box set or a greatest hits or something like that of a previous artist with a legendary legacy of music, a great catalog, people are going to go buy that. But anything new? No. Now, how many people are buying albums? Not really. But you can just stream the whole album. Yeah, if you're streaming, what's the use of buying it? Right? Unless you want to buy it and you want to put it and download it yourself. I mean, streaming just lets you do that. $15.99. Okay, I used to pay CDs for that price. Maybe once a month I'd go to the CD store. I'd go to like either Specs or Peaches over here. CD warehouse I'd go to for a discount. I'd get the used CDs out there for like $3 to $5, maybe $7. But I remember paying $15.99 for a new CD once a month. And that would be for one album from an artist with 4 songs I might like on it, because that was my rule. I need to hear 4 songs that I like. And at least at the time I was still going to the record store. At least I could go and listen to the records, and then I could find out, oh yeah, here we go, 4 songs. Okay, I'm going to get it. Other than that, I would never go back to that now. So as an older music lover, okay, 40 plus years, what I'm saying is, if that's the price I'm getting for that, I'm in. Like, I have no problem whatsoever. The fact I'm getting, I mean, at the moment, all my playlists combined, I have what? I don't know, about 5,000-6,000 songs I listen to on a regular basis. Imagine if I had to put that library together. I couldn't do it. Plus, all the music together, shuffled, cross-faded, thank you, and sounding as tip-top physical, wonderful sound as anything else. Sounding all the same level, everything. I can't do better than that. There's no way. So I'm a Spotify fan. I think it's 2015 was when I first got on. And in 2016 I bought. Right? And I've done it ever since. When Billboard put their charts up on the Spotify chart, that's when I bought in. I never got off. I am not. I think I paid a singular plan for a while, and then I changed to a family plan, never changed since. And it's the best. The best. But who's making money off of this? Well, this is what we have in the current music industry issue. Let's move along now into what the problems are. Because there are things now that are really causing problems in the music industry that's not helping either. Fake streams is an ongoing issue, and a couple stories came out about that. So a story from the last slide of Billboard talks about how there's a fake stream problem that's causing the chance that more than $1 billion in royalties could be lost to streaming fraud worldwide. But the industry has yet to form a united approach, so nobody's controlling that part. So let's talk about that. Last May, the German Music Industry Association set sights on curbing streaming manipulation and streaming fraud. They're one of the first countries to actually address it. January, the French government published what appears to be the first ever national analysis of streaming fraud. And the U.S., there's an outline of a fraud mitigation proposal circulating among several distributors, publishers, streaming platforms. And the annual music business conference in May will feature not one but 3 panels on fake streams and streaming fraud. Deezer says that about 7% of streams are fraudulent. That's just what it identifies. And there are some people that are talking about that it's just very common. There are people who have definitely bought streams. People are worried about optics. They need to at least have 1 million streams on a song. Whatever the bar is that they're trying to hit to make it look like a certain way, there's a lot of pressure. And the streaming fraud can come from a number of behaviors. Uploading an authorized remix of a viral single, boosting play counts by streaming music through a hacked Spotify account, or creating a bot network to drive streams to a pop hit for chart purposes, or a white noise recording for royalties. And the unifying thread across these activities, they can siphon money from the royalty pool. For most streaming services, dollars from ads to subscriptions are lumped together and then distributed to rights holders according to their share of total plays. And some fraud is just like old-fashioned music piracy, uploading an unsanctioned version of an artist's work to Spotify or duplicate under an alternate name and claiming royalties from the resulting streams. With both piracy and fraud, artists and anyone that makes their living from music have the potential to suffer real economic loss. Because some of these streaming services, they can't control who's coming out there. Look, they're not policing how much music is coming up fraudulent on these platforms and which of these artists are losing money as a result. So we had that piracy problem in the file trading and CD burning era of the 2000s, and also consumer demand for lower cost and more choice. So in the same time we were doing $16.99 or $15.99 for CDs, I was going on LimeWire, right? I didn't have Napster, but LimeWire I was going on to go ahead and download music. I mean, why not? And then put it down onto, if I wanted to listen to it portably, burn it to a CD, take it. At least I have about, 15 to 17 songs on a 60-minute CD, and I could put it in, something like that. And I would have multiple CDs to do the such thing. And then, you have the 5-disc CD changer. That's how we kind of worked it out, to try to create that whole demand for music and variety, when the radio stations wouldn't really give us that much. So the word is now that streaming fraud is more sophisticated, increasingly harder to detect, and there's activity for the musical artists of all levels. Bad actors are diverting streams from major artists, and it's no longer simply the unknown artists getting bots to get a visibility. Right. So now the major artists are losing money to fake streams. Not a lot of people talking about it. The music industry is finally addressing it now, but it's been going on for a while. The major labels have either declined to speak about the issue or on the record, or would not respond to requests for comment from Billboard. And there's concern over any level of fraud that happens on any of the platforms. And the majors in 2019 were among those that signed a code of conduct condemning streaming fraud, though the document was not legally binding, so it's hard to tell the extent of the impact. When they talk about, there's a report that came out from CNN, and I'm not going to go back and look what it was, but when they're talking about the fact about how Apple Music, YouTube, and Amazon, that they are estimated to account for a little over 35% of global streaming subscriptions, and they decline to share information about fraud on their platforms, seemingly content to handle the issue internally. But when we start seeing something really significant where there's a lot of money being lost, I guess, but nobody's changing anything about it. Like, what are we doing? Not much. It's just kind of been down by the wayside. And the music business worldwide, they talked to a couple of veterans in the space talking about fake streams are nothing new, but the recordings business is only just waking up to the scale of the practice. Behind the 8 ball and losing money in their sleep. So this is an op-ed that came from Music Business Worldwide, who came from Pascal Bittard. He's a founder of a France-based independent distributor called Idol. The frontline manipulation now going on, where they're talking about in particular in France, includes replaying tracks in full rather than churning through 31-second snippets, with seasoned fraudsters gradually bumping up streams across platforms, making sure to keep in line with an artist's fan base size and market share of each DSP to evade suspicion. You know, I've seen that, where somebody will put up 31 seconds. Actually, yeah. What was this all I was thinking about? Uncle Luke Raised the Roof. I remember looking for that song, and I saw it uploaded because I wanted to put it in a playlist. It was 31 seconds long. Now I understand it was a bot. It was a fake stream. Wow. That's bad. Now, labels and distributors are not actively buying fake streams, but evidence suggests there may be bad actors among managers and artist teams working with some of the industry's most lucrative rosters. Oh. So there might be some people working alongside people, and there's some collusion going on, and the labels are not aware of it. That's not good. As a distributor working with labels and artists, we can sometimes detect instances of manipulation among our own clients by combining information we receive from DSPs with our own data that allows us to analyze the track share of streams across platforms. Yep. And then there were cases in recent years, all of which resulted in severing ties with the perpetrators on future products. That is bad. That is really bad. I don't know what to tell you, but we're looking at it and I don't like it. But what's being done? Is anybody addressing the situation? No, not at all. And it shall continue with no answer in sight. Now, the other part is artificial intelligence. We've been talking about that. There was a couple of stories that came out that were very important to bring up as well. The Rap.com reports about how it was a great story they put out. And hold on, that's right. It was on another page. Let me go and look for that again. Because here's a little trick, folks. If you didn't know this, the Rap.com puts stories out. But then when you want to listen to it and you want to go and find it, usually you have to go somewhere else to go look for it. Right? And sometimes I can go to Yahoo and I can find the story once again. That's usually what I have to do. Well, anyway, I can't find the story over here again, but I'm going to find it here on Yahoo, that the Human Artistry Campaign was recently launched to support songwriters and music rights. And it was announced by South by Southwest at South by Southwest, right? More than 40 organizations, including the Recording Academy, the National Music Publishers Association, and the Recording Industry of America, are all part of this now. And they got a whole lot of things that are going on. Their core principles: technology has long empowered human expression. AI will be no different. Human created works will continue to play an essential role in our lives. Use of copyrighted works and the use of the voices and likenesses of professional performers requires authorization, licensing, and compliance with all relevant state and federal laws. Governments should not create new copyright or other IP exemptions that allow AI developers, to exploit creators without permission or compensation. And copyright should only protect the unique value of human intellectual creativity. What this is going to do, I don't know. It's nice as a kumbaya moment. It's very performative, but is it very active? Will it be able to do something? Will it be able to actually have any real teeth? I don't know. But AI is also an ongoing problem, because of what if you have verses that are being done through ChatGPT and somebody will go and create new verses off of something that's already been made, just to remake verses, and then start pirating from, and start what? Plagiarizing artists and their lyrics and songwriters? That's not good. Now, the other thing I learned that was recent is that Spotify, meanwhile, they're not worried too much about raising prices as they are cutting projects. Spotify Live, remember the Clubhouse thing from 2020? Well, that went down very quickly. Spotify Live has been shut down. And the standalone app no longer makes sense. It promised to continue to facilitate live interactions between artists and fans, but it's done. And so they're just going to leave it alone. Now, in the meantime, Spotify has been hosting new features, a swipeable vertical feed playing previews of music and podcasts, a pre-save feature with countdown pages for upcoming releases, clips, allowing acts to post 30-second videos on their artist pages. And that's them trying to go and compete with TikTok, which is what they're going to try to do, and why not? Now, one other story I want to bring in here about the AI revolution before we go ahead and move along into some other stories that are in the place. Oh no, DIY. We should talk about do-it-yourself music, where the record labels are continuing to get hurt. We'll talk about that in a minute. So there was a story that came out. Faced with the AI revolution, I mentioned this last week, the entertainment industry can't pull a Napster. I just want to take a couple of things that are coming out of this. AI already pumps out millions of new songs, writes articles, novels, scripts, churns out endless graphics and art, creates full videos based on just a few words of text. And artists like David Guetta are using AI to replicate the voices of other major artists like Eminem in their songs like M.I.M. And that's only 4 months after OpenAI unleashed ChatGPT into a largely naive and unsuspecting world. And that's the problem we have. So in the story, they say that as the entertainment industry, they must find ways to keep humanity front and center of the art of creativity, our art, our audiences, and our jobs depend on it. This is not some anti-tech rant or form of charity. It's a fundamental belief that our creative souls cannot be matched by code-churning machines. There is an idiosyncratic artisanry, a craft to all creative works. What? They're not wrong. But this is the part they're talking about. They go into the human artistry campaign I just mentioned, among other things. And they're going to have to figure it out, man. No answer to AI. Like, there's no proactivity going on. It's especially rampant in the American music business. Let's just say that, or American media and American entertainment in general. And by the way, how about the market share? The money that the record labels used to make. Let's talk about that part. Because they're hurting. Music Business Worldwide talked about that. And they mentioned that as major market label shares fall on Spotify, the indie investment on the big three, is that going to be happening? The scale of do-it-yourself music uploading to streaming services has skyrocketed. The three major record companies have seen their market share erode slightly but consistently year over year. And it just keeps going. No answer. And the majors have historically been benchmarked against one another and the industry at large by market share by any other metric. They're losing money. And they're going to just be like cord cutters, where there are going to be artists that are never going to go to a major label. They'll just go do it themselves and they'll make whatever the money they can. But now maybe independent labels are going to be caught up on this. Because each of these major label services, they do have independent outlets, and they've been buying them. But now more than ever, many artists still want to harness the influence, global reach, and expertise of the majors, but only on terms that enable them to keep their ownership of their copyrights and only sign them away on relatively short-term licensing or distribution agreements. As the era of the mega hit dissolves, potentially for good, the author believes the best path for the majors to maintaining streaming market share are through alternatives to their powerhouse name brand labels. You know, that's how it used to be. Or maybe just some other record labels just start coming from the limelight and are servicing these companies with better contracts. Like, quit trying to go in and make such an advance and say you're going to do all this promotion and all this extra money being put in that's going to cut into their bottom line. And then the artists are left with nothing. Do we remember what TLC had to go through? right? This is the part that we're at. But nobody's addressing it yet. But I got to say something about it. What else is there to say? Okay, I got 3 more stories I want to get into before we wrap it up for the night. And by the way, if you want to see all the stories and you want to go ahead and look at them for yourself, you can find them all over at broadcasterspodcast.com. I just redesigned the site. Should be a little bit easier to go and navigate, look through. Hope you like it. Broadcasterspodcast.com. Go look for it right now. And there's a story from Inside Radio about brands gravitating to audio advertising. So the story behind this is now they're trying to say that radio has a human connection, an ability to drive recall, efficacy, and low cost. And ad agencies specializing in audio say the channel's efficiency is helping drive an uptick in business for their shops. And now there's an audio-first advertising approach for some brands. Remember we talked about there's a company out there that's trying to go ahead and make it so that in your infotainment dashboard on your car, that maybe you won't see the name and title of the song title and the artist on your radio. Instead, you'll see a big, nice image for an ad that'll play while the song's playing. That's the final way to put advertising in front of you, right? So they talk about various agencies out there. One is the Detroit-based agency called AMP. They do sound branding for drive time radio that not only reaches audiences when they have a very high attention level, but that radio itself has an advantage over visual medium. The brain digests audio in a very slightly different way than most visuals, and it's something that sticks really well. It's proven that you really get a good solid brand recall in response to audio. So AMP's helping clients like MasterCard, Mercedes-Benz, General Motors, and various Kraft Heinz brands translate their brand, mission, and vision to the sound that aligns with their visual identity. But no jingles. No, not at all. You also are seeing some of the sound services like Dolby Atmos and spatial audio opening up new creative vistas in the space, creating a new innovative and disruptive way to advertise Sports Club's signature service, the MVP haircut experience. Production costs for radio and audio ads are far lower than for video or TV, even when research costs are factored in. And that Sports Clips, because of radio, they were able to spend 20% less than they would spend on advertising the previous year. But I mean, it still comes down to the fact the advertisers have to be good. The advertising itself, the messaging, what's the earworm that's going to catch them to listen in? It's got to be good. How much of that's going on right now? I don't know. The other story I saw too was there was a op-ed from Inside Radio that talked about Drew Carey's AI lesson that people like personality. And he used a ChatGPT written script delivered by an artificially generated version of his voice on a recent episode of his Sirius XM show Friday Night Freakout. And they complained that Drew's voice sounded soulless, wanting the real Drew back. And Carey told Engadget.com, I violated a rule from Radio 101. The reason FM stations and treasure radio stations still make money is because people like the personality of the DJs. You don't have to be like a big boss radio guy and be phony. You can just talk. That's what listeners like. He's right. He's right. Now, while celebrities might feel threatened by artificial intelligence, Drew Carey sees it as a more helpful radio production tool to read a script or write ad copy in a pinch. And would it be easier to hire beginners or lower level workers? He says, there are no blacksmiths anymore. If you're a mechanic that works on internal combustion engine cars, if you don't make the switch to electric soon, you're out of a job. He's right. And he also mentions that I'm not worried about CGI Drew Carey taking over because people want to see me. They want some kind of host. He says they want the interaction. Drew Carey, voice of reason for radio, personality-driven radio. Where's that been? What a great idea. Sounds new to some of these people that are, these people that were never on radio in the first place, running corporations, paying to the betters of private equity. Yeah. Personality-driven radio. What a great concept. I love that. That's good. One more show I want to bring up, and this is just the fact that Major League Baseball, I've tried to watch a little bit of this year with the new pitch count gimmick that's going on, and now the fact that you can watch a game in like 2 hours, or definitely less than 3 hours than it was before. Less than the 3 hours you used to watch. YouTube might become the new home for Major League Baseball for like all the baseball you want to watch. Because the regional sports networks, such as AT&T SportsNet, plans to shut down, and Bally Sports has declared bankruptcy. And the Major League Baseball has been in talks with multiple cable networks and YouTube to find ways to air Major League Baseball games in the market, both on a traditional cable TV provider and streaming online. And instead of offering free streaming through MLB TV or the MLB TV app, they will be able to get some cash as Google's YouTube by selling streaming rights to YouTube. And we don't know what's going to happen, but there are certain franchises of baseball that if Bally Sports goes down, there's a number of 20 some odd regional sports networks that'll lose baseball in their market. And then all these fans that want to watch their out-of-town games of their favorite hometown baseball team will not be able to. That's a problem. But this is all encompassing what is the digital disruption. This is the problem we have constantly today. That is where we are today. That's it. All right, we're going to leave it there. That's the Broadcasters Podcast tonight. Again, you heard the website. You want all the links to what I've talked about. Read through them yourself. And in the meantime, come back for another Broadcasters Podcast. And remember that content is king. And the control of your content is in your hands.
Thank you for listening to the Broadcasters Podcast. Find all the links to subscribe to the show by going to broadcasterspodcast.com. And don't forget to check out the King of Podcasts wrestling program, the Wrestling is Real podcast, exclusively at wrestlingisreal.com.